from City Hall Field in Norwalk. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports, running a little late here on HANradio.com and streaming live on the Hersom Acorn Network. So we've got you on the video as we get all set here at City Hall Field in Norwalk. City Hall right behind me. I'm Rob Adams. You know, I wasn't thinking when I went and came out into this shot. Josh Fisher on camera. Marty Hersom is directing. We've got John Kovach running controls. They're all sitting under tents, except for Josh, and all wearing baseball hats. And I'm the guy who's got the almost shaved head out here in the sun. But so it goes. Kate Chaplinsky also here as well. Thanks for John for throwing his hat into the ring, but I'm good for now. Anyway, happy to be with you. I'll grab a hat after we're off the air. Great baseball game today, as I was saying to our audio listeners a short while ago, as we get ready to watch the Wilton Warriors at 13-6, the number 5 seed in the FCAIC tournament, take on the number 4 Norwalk Bears. And just a game separates the two. Norwalk 14-4 on the year, and they've had a wonderful season, but their loss on Friday to the Darien Blue Wave dropped them from being the potential top seed down to the number 4 seed, and unfortunately now Pete Tucci is the victim of the HAN radio curse. The Bears are 0-2 when we are anywhere near them, so we do apologize for that, while Darien has improved to 2-2 if you like such things, and honestly, I don't get into curses. But it's a good one, as I said. We saw Wilton to begin the season, and we saw them in a scrimmage, and even then, as they took on Darien that day, you had the sense this was a pretty good Wilton Warrior team, and I think they are. The record bears them out at 13-6 overall, so I'm very interested to see how they come here today and how they perform. Not sure yet who Norwalk's going to throw. Of course, at the end of the season, you do come into a new week, so your rotation can start fresh. You have the full allotment of outs that are offered, and if you don't know, that's the way it works in baseball. You get a certain number of outs per week for your pitchers. You can't just run them out there every day, you know, such as a Mariano Rivera, although you could, because Rivera would only give you 3 to 6 outs a week, so that's certainly to be kept in mind. So we'll see who both Wilton and Norwalk run out here today to pitch. The other 3 games, I mentioned it again to our audio audience, but I do want to mention them to all of you. 7 Ward taking on 2 Staples. Now remember, Staples is 14-4, and we saw the Wreckers earlier in the year. I thought that was a really good-looking Staples Wreckers baseball team. Ward, we saw them as well when we saw them up at Harbor Yard when they beat Ludlow, and again, I had this sense that it was a better Ward team than 12-6. But the FCAIC really is just a tremendous conference this year. These 8 teams have just beaten the heck out of each other for the most part. Number 6, Trinity Catholic, has arguably the best player in the conference, the player who we haven't seen, unfortunately, and that's their pitcher and shortstop, Randy Polonia. Hopefully, maybe we get a chance to see him up at Harbor Yard, but they've got a tough road with the number 3 New Canaan Rams at 14-4, a team that can be hot and cold at times, but overall, more often than not, the Rams have been a hot baseball team. Finally, the other quarterfinal on the day, the Stanford Black Knights back in the playoff hunt at 10-8 on the year. Great to see them back in, but they bopped out the likes of Trumbull and Greenwich, among others, getting into the playoffs with the top seed Darien Blue Wave. The Blue Wave are 16-2 on the year. They have 2 losses on the year. Both those losses have been here on HAN Radio, by the way. But, well, one of the non-conference games, actually, was on HAN Radio. One of their conference losses was not. But in any event, they wound up with a terrific season, did the Blue Wave. And Mike Scott's team will be ready to go today up at Darien. That's where Alex Hager will have the call over on Wavecast. So 4 interesting games, and here's what you know about baseball, because we've said this time and again, and I think it's most apropos to talk about when you're getting into playoff baseball, and that is who is your starting pitcher. No other sport offers you that. You know, you can say who is your starting goalie in hockey, even though it's a 1-game playoff. Well, your starting goalie probably is the same guy. It was Will Massey the day before. It's probably Will Massey today, if you're Darien, as a for instance. The same goes for lacrosse. The same goes for football. Your quarterback's not changing. Baseball is that game, and that's what makes baseball so intriguing. Softball as well, of course. But that is why what you're going to see today with these 4 games, anyone can win. They really can. Can Trinity go beat New Canaan? Can Stanford knock off Darien? Yeah, sure they can. because it truly is an any given day type of thing in these 4 games. So they're 4 good games. We're going to do our best to keep an eye on them. I know that we're all here, as I said, in Norwalk at City Hall. But, we'll have coverage hopefully from Warden Staples. We'll have coverage from New Canaan and Trinity. And we'll have coverage from Darien Stanford. So we'll be able to keep an eye somehow on all 4 of these games, even if it's just tweets that we're able to get from the guys out in the field. And, of course, I mentioned to you in the audio portion all the other great stuff going on. The lacrosse games over at Brian McMahon High School, certainly on the boys' side, we mentioned they're chalk. I mean, it's the 4 games you expect them to be, because Greenwich and Ridgefield have already had a great season, and Darien and New Canaan. So those are the 2 games going on, those 4 teams, and it's exactly what we expected all along. From the first week of April, we were saying to you, in lacrosse, those 4 teams would be the 4 teams to beat. Now, who gets the championship? I mean, Greenwich and Ridgefield played a great game. We had it right here. We had it down at Greenwich High School. So I would imagine that's a terrific game. Ridgefield could easily get the win. I'd expect Greenwich to get the win, but I wouldn't be shocked. Darien New Canaan is a toss-up, folks, because the Rams beat the Blue Wave just about 2 weeks ago at Dunning Field. Rematch? Boy, oh boy. And by the way, this is the last time they will be meeting, because they cannot meet in the state championship. So the Rams and Blue Wave will meet here in the semifinals. We're going to take a time out from here in City Hall Field in Norwalk. We'll come back. I got some other things I want to bat around today, some Bernie Williams stuff, and some more to do as we continue on here. It's live radio, it's live video. We love it for what it is. We take a break. We continue on Nutmeg Sports on HANradio.com, and now streaming live on the Hersom Acorn Network. Back after this.
Breaks, sprains, injuries, and pain can now be quickly and expertly treated at Coastal Ortho Express in Norwalk. Why wait hours in the ER? Save a trip and save money going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or call 203-845-2070. Fast!
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332, and online at stratfordsmile.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the dock shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the dock shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Yeah, hey, this is John Ratsburger. You're listening to HANradio.com.
Back with you on Nutmeg Sports, live from City Hall Field in Norwalk with our entire crew. I'm Rob Adams. Happy to have you along here on this Tuesday edition of the show. Great looking place. And not supposed to turn my back on the camera, so I'll try not to. But what these guys do here, we were talking with the grounds crew before we got set up here today, and what these guys do to keep this place looking nice. First of all, there's an old belief, which is groundskeepers work their tails off on a field, so they never want you putting footprints out on this perfectly manicured infield. You can probably see, if you're watching, how well the dirt is dragged. They've got it all in the neat manicured circles, and the grass of the infield itself is almost so nice you could eat off it. These guys were telling us before we went on the air today, they take care of 30 fields here in the city of Norwalk. The two of them take care of 30 fields. He said to me, by comparison, the guys in New Canaan, they take care of 10 fields. It's just a bigger city, bigger town, more to deal with. Now, that being said, the outfield, choppy. It's got some ruts in it. It's got some spots where it's missing grass. In talking with the Darien players on Friday, they were saying this is not exactly their favorite place to play, only because of how tough the outfield is. But I'm telling you, this infield is beautiful. And I know these guys worked their tails off to take care of this place. So good for them, and we wanted to give them a shout out. And they were honest about the outfield. They said, outfields are tough to care for. Is the grass well cared for? Is it well mowed and all? Yes, but there's a certain reality to a field in Norwalk versus a field in, well, we can't even say Darien because that's Gurf. But you can't say New Canaan, for instance, There are just people who are going to come out here because there's a track that surrounds it. You're going to get pickup soccer games going on, pickup football games. For whatever reason, you're going to find stuff. There's going to be that bottle of, iced tea hanging around. There's a certain reality that I'm trying to express here. But these guys do really work their tails off, and they were great to us this morning. Want to spend a moment, obviously, on Bernie Williams getting his number retired last night in the Bronx. And look, if you've listened and watched enough Nutmeg Sports, you know how I am on retired numbers. Bluntly, I'm a pain in the neck on them. Given my choice, considering how many numbers the Yankees have retired, I hate to admit how many I would rip down off the wall. Simple fact of it, I would rip numbers down off the wall at Yankee Stadium. They've got too many retired. Was Bernie Williams a great Yankee? I'm not questioning that. He was a great Yankee, and the numbers are all there to back him up. But this idea that we have to just keep retiring numbers, Andy Pettitte, Posada, Bernie, why not O'Neill? O'Neill almost changed the face of the franchise in the early 90s when the trade came that brought him over from the Reds in exchange for Roberto Kelly. He and Jimmy Key, later on David Cohn, and of course Mattingly, were the reason the Yankees got back to the promised land in 95 and then 96. And then Andy Pettitte and the Core Four came along. But this notion, numbers got retired initially in baseball because Lou Gehrig was a dying man. That's it. Lou Gehrig was issued number 4 because he batted fourth in 1929. Babe Ruth number 3 for the same reason. Yankees the first team to do it on a permanent basis. When Gehrig got sick in 1939, they retired his number July the 4th. That's it. So wouldn't it stand to reason that to retire a number, you've got to be something along the lines of a Hall of Famer, or you were a great teammate, player that died far too young, a Thurman Munson, a Lou Gehrig. Gehrig, obviously a Hall of Famer, Munson not. Doesn't that make a little more sense considering the amount of numbers that have been put up by the Yankees? Now look, with all that I'm saying, the ceremony last night was great. I watched it only on Yes. Josh Fisher was actually there. He seemed to enjoy it. And the ceremony was really, it was special. The Yankees, the Rangers, some of these teams know how to do it and do it right. Others treat it, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe some of these other ceremonies. But the Yankees do it right. They were able to trot out a bunch of great names last night. Roy White, Gene Michael, Joe Torre, Willie Randolph, and then obviously the guys that made up the Core Four, Fab Five, whatever you want to call it, with obviously Mariano and Pettitte and Posada and Bernie, and then the great, I'm saving, obviously, quote-unquote, the best for last. Out comes Jeter. David Cohn there as well, but Jeter making his first appearance last night, and Mr. Torrey, of course, Mr. T. You don't want to forget Mr. T. That's what they call him, Mr. T. But to have all those guys there, I mean, it was a certain amount of royalty. No Reggie, and I'd rip Reggie's number down in a heartbeat if he gave me the chance, but no Yogi, obviously. Yogi now 90 and in a nursing home, but that's a pretty good lineup last night. Bernie's speech was a mixture of fun and I think a little emotional at times. I think he still thinks he could get a couple of at-bats and get a couple of hits. Remember, it's been 9 years he's been gone, but he still thinks he could get a base hit or two, so, good for Bernie. He's a heck of a musician, by the way. If you've never checked out his music, it's actually quite good, so. But good for Bernie, and his speech was fun. And next up, obviously, will be Pettit, Posada, and then later on, once they decide on it, Jeter. I was pleased. I was surprised to see Jeter in the building last night because I don't know how connected to the Yankees Jeter will be in the near future. I'm not sure he will be connected. I think he's going to own another team eventually. I think he's going to be an opponent eventually. I think Jeter has that kind of business sense to him. Loves the Yankees. I'm not saying he doesn't, but there's also that distance from him. There's a certain amount of DiMaggio in Derek Jeter, if you've ever noticed. I don't know that we'll ever see him for an old-timers game. He's difficult about things like that. I don't know. So to see Jeter there last night, I found it fairly impressive. And the Yankees were able to put their hitting shoes back on, which was, of course, yesterday at the stadium. Sunday night was the ceremony, by the way, for Bernie, and of course it's Tuesday, so it's easy to get confused. But Yankees able to do some hitting yesterday. The Mets are struggling. Both teams are struggling because the Yankees have looked like garbage. The Mets trying to get better. So that's where we stand, at least on the baseball side of things. Now, I do want to spend a moment, because we have to, on the New York Rangers, and I'm very concerned about the Rangers. Here's why. The Rangers losing in Game 5. Okay, fine. But how do you come back? Now, you've won Game 4. You've come back. You've got it at 2-2. You're ready to send the Garden crazy. And you put on a stinker of a hockey game at Madison Square Garden. I don't get that. The Rangers looked flat. The Garden got flatter. And the Rangers are a loss away from being done. And this is a team that I have unabashedly for 2 months said they're going to win a Stanley Cup. And now it's tonight or never. So where that Mark Messier is, I don't know. I don't know if this team has one. I believe that this team has heart. And if the Rangers win Game 6, they will not, not lose Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. It's not happening. It is not happening. But the Rangers have got to get work done tonight, and they've got a big task in front of them down in Tampa with a lot of trouble there. So we will see. Now on the other side, that's a tough loss for the Chicago Blackhawks because the Anaheim Ducks have shown they can score at will. And early on in that game last night, they scored at will. And yet still, the Blackhawks, who I had picked all along to go to the Stanley Cup, came back, got that game tied late, and then lost early in overtime. That's a bad loss for the Chicago Blackhawks, and that could be a demoralizing loss in that they could be done in this series, which is too bad. Where it goes from here, who's to say? Now, forgive me, this is awkward because I don't have it in front of me, but what I'm going to do here is reach into my pocket so I can give you a time check, and it is 2:50. All right, good to know. 2:50 here on Nutmeg Sports. Let's take another timeout. We'll come back and start putting a wrap on this one. Baseball coming up from here at City Hall Field in Norwalk. We're out for a break. We continue on HANradio.com and streaming live on the Hersham Acorn Network.
Located in the heart of picturesque downtown Ridgefield at 13 Governor Street, Colby's is the area's premier retailer for blinds, shades, shutters, and draperies, and is one of the select few Hunter Douglas Gallery dealers. A family-owned and operated company, Colby's experienced staff will work with you in choosing the best treatments for your home or office and offer free measuring and expert installation. Colby's also carries an extensive line of decorative fabrics including Schumacher, Durley, Tebow, and more. Or browse over 400 books in our wallpaper library from famous designers such as Stroheim, Schumacher, Ralph Lauren, Tebow, and York. Take advantage of our Fashion in Motion savings event with savings and rebates on Hunter Douglas shades with Power Rise technology. Colby's of Ridgefield. We are committed to your complete satisfaction. 203-438-8531.
It's Lots of Characters, specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersumsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
Hersum Acorn and HANradio.com.
Okay. Back with you on Nutmeg Sports on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm Rob Adams with our entire crew here. Joe has joined us, Marty, John, Josh, Kate still hanging out and rocking and rolling. I see the fist pump from Kate. So good to have you here on a Tuesday edition. Now, tomorrow's show, pretty exciting stuff. We will be at the ballpark at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport for the FCAIC semifinals in baseball. That will begin at 5. But long before that, first of all, we will have Coffee Break as well as this very program, Nutmeg Sports, will both be at the ballpark at Harbor Yard tomorrow. So we will be excited to bring that to you from that facility. We will have some members of the Bluefish family on with us. I believe their communications director, Paul Herman, will join us. But also, I'm saving up for some exciting news here. And I actually mentioned this earlier today on Coffee Break. We will speak with really one of the pioneers in sports talk broadcasting. And yes, he's a local guy, and yes, we've had him here on HAN Radio before. We had him on when we were known as Hersum Acorn Radio. We haven't talked to him since late December 2013, and that, of course, is Christopher Mad Dog Russo, who really is, when you get right down to it, one of the pioneers of what we do, and a guy who I listened to for a long time, a guy who first started down in Orlando, moved up to WMCA in New York when WMCA was still originally a rock and roll station, and then eventually, by the time Russo was there, it was a basically a talk station, not even a news station, a talk station. He eventually moved on and joined WFAN before leaving and going over to Sirius Satellite Radio a few years ago. So Doggy has been on with us before. He is a great interview. He will be ready to go and talk some FCAIC baseball tomorrow. We'll talk maybe a little bit about his son Timmy, who plays in New Canaan for the basketball team. We'll get into some other stuff, maybe even bat around the Tom Brady thing a little bit. And Chris is great when it comes to baseball history, so that's a real wheelhouse thing for Doggy and I tomorrow. So that'll be a lot of fun. He will be on tomorrow's show with us, so I'm excited to talk to Dog. Haven't talked to him, like I said, in roughly a year and a half. But we turn our attention to what we're looking for here today. And, you know, for Norwalk, and really for both teams, you got to keep the number of errors down to a minimum. Too many errors, too many mistakes, it's going to cost you in a baseball game, and that's what the Bears have to keep in mind as they come out here today. And the same goes for the Warriors. You got to play mistake-free baseball. You got to, and from there, it's the basics, folks. You got to pitch, you got to hit, you got to play defense. That's it. And the team that does that the best is coming out of here with the win. We've seen both of these teams. What the Bears have shown us is they've got some fight in them. The problem was they got down 3 late in that game on Friday, and they couldn't come back from that. But they came back from being down 4 in the bottom of the 7th. So they've got some fight, and I want to see how they respond to that and what they do. The winner then moves on tomorrow, and we'll see that same team all over again tomorrow at the ballpark at Harbor Yard, as we're coming up on probably about 2:57, if I were to guess, John. Not bad. This brain isn't so bad once in a while. So that's what's going on. So, again, to recap the schedule, baseball here today, right there. We'll be on about 4:25 with the pregame show. Eric Gendron will have made his way down here by then. He'll direct it. We'll have some of the guys running camera. I'll have the call for you, both on HAN Radio and, of course, on the Hersham Acorn Network. Tomorrow, ballpark at Harbor Yard, coffee break in the morning, followed by Nutmeg Sports later on. So coffee break at 11, Nutmeg at 2, with Chris Russo, with some members of the Bluefish. Then later on, at 5, we will have the semifinals. Pre-game call at 4:50, maybe 4:55. I'll have the call for you tomorrow of both games, both semifinals. Thursday, we move on to Sacred Heart University for the FCAIC softball championship. That also at 5. I have every intention of being on that call as well. Pre-game show right around 4:55 Thursday afternoon. And finally, we wheel around to Friday, and that's where we will have the FCAIC Baseball Championship Friday at 7:30. As of right now, the one variable in all of that is Darien has their prom on Friday. That could move the game back, possibly even to 5 is the last rumored number I've heard. But again, subject to change. Keep your eye on Hersham Radio on Twitter, HANradio.com, Darien Times website, and of course Darien's got to get to the championship. Keep that in mind as well, and we're not trying to jinx them one way or another. So keep all that in mind as well. There are a lot of facts you got to consider when you get to all that, but the championship game will be Friday at 7:30. And I believe on that note, as we hit 2:59, that'll do it for Nutmeg Sports. Thanks for joining us here in Norwalk. We're back with you in a little while as the Wilton Warriors come to town to take on the Norwalk Bears, and we'll excuse whatever it was that just bit me on the cheek. For our entire crew here, I'm Rob Adams. Thanks for watching and listening to Nutmeg Sports. We're back with you for the baseball broadcast, the quarterfinals at 4:25 on HANradio.com.
Hersham Acorn and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Want to get in touch with HAN Radio? You can find us on